In the early 16th century, the world was still largely uncharted, and brave explorers ventured into unknown waters in search of new lands, riches, and glory. Ferdinand Magellan was one such man. His quest to circumnavigate the globe brought him to the shores of what is now known as the Philippines. However, his journey came to an abrupt and violent end on the island of Mactan on April 27, 1521. Magellan's death at the hands of Lapu-Lapu, a local chieftain who fiercely resisted foreign encroachment, left the remaining members of his expedition in a perilous situation. Without their leader, the expedition faced the daunting task of surviving in unfamiliar and often hostile territories. Leadership quickly passed to Duarte Barbosa and João Serrao, but tragedy struck again when they were betrayed and killed by Raja Humabon, the ruler of Cebu, who had initially allied with Magellan. The surviving crew, now under the command of Juan Sebastian Elcano, made the fateful decision to abandon their hopes of colonizing the Philippines. Instead, they focused on completing their circumnavigation of the globe, a journey that would ultimately earn them a place in history. They sailed westward, leaving the islands that had claimed their leader behind, and made their way to the Spice Islands. Though they had left the Philippines, the seeds of future Spanish interest in the archipelago had been planted. The Spanish expeditions, pursuing the Spice Islands from 1525 to 1542. The loss of Magellan did not dampen Spain's interest in the rich and mysterious lands of the East. A series of expeditions followed, each seeking to explore, conquer, and establish Spanish dominance in the region. In 1525, the first of these expeditions, led by Garcia Jofre de Loaiza, set sail with the ambitious goal of reaching the Spice Islands by following the same path Magellan had taken. The expedition faced severe hardships, including treacherous waters, hostile encounters, and the death of its leader. Though some of Loaiza's men eventually reached the Spice Islands, they did not return to the Philippines, focusing instead on securing Spanish interests in the lucrative spice trade. The following year, in 1526, Álvaro de Saavedra Quirón was dispatched on another expedition. Saavedra's mission was twofold: to assist the remnants of the Loaiza expedition and to further explore the vast Pacific Ocean. Though Saavedra's fleet sighted the Philippine Islands, they did not engage with them, as their primary focus was still the Spice Islands. Saavedra's expedition ultimately met with limited success, and like Loaiza before him, he did not return to the Philippines. In 1527, Sebastian Cabot embarked on yet another Spanish expedition, this time aiming to reach the Spice Islands via South America. However, Cabot's journey took an unexpected turn when he became embroiled in conflicts in the South American region, and his expedition never made it to the Philippines. The Spanish crown remained determined to establish a foothold in the east, and in 1542 they launched the most significant expedition to date under the command of Ruy López de Villalobos. Villalobos's mission was clear: to establish a Spanish presence in the Philippines and lay the groundwork for future colonization. It was during this expedition that Villalobos named the islands of Samar and Leyte Las Islas Filipinas in honor of Prince Philip of Spain, who would later become King Philip II. Despite this symbolic act, the expedition encountered fierce resistance from the local populations, as well as the familiar challenges of food shortages, harsh weather, and disease. Ultimately, Villalobos was forced to abandon his efforts in the Philippines and seek refuge in the Spice Islands, where he met his end in 1546. Though these early expeditions had not succeeded in establishing a lasting Spanish presence in the Philippines, they had paved the way for future endeavors. The Spanish crown remained resolute in its desire to claim the archipelago, and it was only a matter of time before a more successful expedition would be launched. The Legazpi expedition in 1565. It is the turning point in Spain's quest to colonize the Philippines, came in 1565 when King Philip II authorized a new and more determined expedition under the leadership of Miguel López de Legazpi. This expedition was different from those that had come before. It was not just a voyage of exploration, but a mission to establish a permanent Spanish settlement in the archipelago. Legazpi, a seasoned navigator, was accompanied by the Augustinian friar Andrés de Urdaneta, whose knowledge of Pacific navigation proved invaluable. The expedition set sail from New Spain, modern-day Mexico, with the hope of finally securing a Spanish foothold in the Philippines. After months at sea, they arrived in the Philippines and anchored off the coast of Cebu in 1565. The Spanish arrival was met with suspicion and resistance by the local ruler, Raja Tupas. A brief but decisive conflict ensued, during which the Spanish forces, armed with superior weaponry and driven by a sense of destiny, overcame Tupas's forces. Legazpi then established the first permanent Spanish settlement in Cebu, marking the beginning of over 3 centuries of Spanish rule in the Philippines. Legazpi's settlement in Cebu quickly became the center of Spanish activity in the region. The Spanish constructed a fort to protect their new colony and began the process of converting the local population to Christianity. Missionaries accompanied the expedition, eager to spread the Catholic faith, and the first churches were built on the island. Despite the challenges of maintaining a distant colony, the Spanish were determined to expand their influence beyond Cebu. The Spanish expands their control and the conquest of Manila from 1565 to 1571. From their base in Cebu, the Spanish began to explore and assert control over the surrounding islands. Legazpi sent expeditions to neighboring islands such as Panay, Leyte, and Mindanao, where they encountered a diverse array of local cultures and political structures. Some rulers, recognizing the power of the Spanish, chose to ally with them, while others resisted and were met with force. In 1570, Legazpi dispatched an expedition led by his trusted officers, Martin de Goiti and Juan de Salcedo, to explore the northern island of Luzon. Their journey brought them to the bustling port of Manila, a thriving center of trade and commerce under the rule of Raja Suleiman, a Muslim chieftain. The strategic location of Manila, situated on a deep natural harbor, made it an attractive target for Spanish colonization. Goiti and Salcedo initially sought to establish peaceful relations with Raja Suleiman, but tensions quickly escalated into open conflict. The Spanish forces, with their superior military technology, overwhelmed Suleiman's forces and took control of Manila. Recognizing the city's strategic importance, Legazpi himself moved to Manila in 1571 and declared it the capital of the Spanish East Indies. With the establishment of Manila as the capital, Spanish control over the Philippines began to solidify. The city became the administrative and commercial hub of the colony, and its population grew as Spanish settlers, soldiers, and missionaries arrived. The Spanish began constructing fortifications, churches, and other colonial infrastructure, transforming Manila into a European-style city. The conquest of Manila marked the effective start of widespread Spanish rule in the Philippines, and the city became the heart of the colony. The Spanish colonization of the Philippines was not just a military conquest, but also a comprehensive cultural and social transformation. One of the most significant aspects of this process was the conversion of the local population to Christianity. The Spanish brought with them missionaries from various religious orders, including the Augustinians, Franciscans, Dominicans, and Jesuits, who set about the task of converting the indigenous population to the Catholic faith. Churches and missions were established throughout the archipelago, and the local population was gradually introduced to Christian teachings and practices. Over time, Christianity became deeply ingrained in Filipino society, with the vast majority of the population embracing the Catholic faith. This religious transformation was one of the most enduring legacies of Spanish colonization, and it continues to shape the cultural and spiritual landscape of the Philippines to this day. Alongside religious conversion, the Spanish also established a centralized colonial government to administer their new territory. Manila became the seat of Spanish authority in the Philippines, and the archipelago was divided into provinces, each governed by a Spanish official known as an encomendero. The encomienda system allowed these officials to collect tribute from the local population in exchange for protection and religious instruction, though in practice, it often led to the exploitation of the indigenous people. Economically, the Philippines was integrated into the global Spanish trading network. The Manila-Acapulco galleon trade became the cornerstone of the colonial economy, linking the Philippines to the Americas and Europe. Goods from China, Japan, and Southeast Asia were traded in Manila for silver from Mexico and Peru, making the city a vibrant center of international commerce. The local economy was also reoriented to serve Spanish interests, with the production of cash crops like tobacco, sugar, and abaca becoming increasingly important. The Spanish named the Philippines as Las Islas Filipinas, bestowed upon the islands by Ruy López de Villalobos in 1543 in honor of Prince Philip of Spain. Initially, the name referred only to the islands of Leyte and Samar, but over time it came to be used for the entire archipelago. As Spanish control expanded and their presence became more entrenched, the name became synonymous with the entire collection of islands that now comprise the modern nation of the Philippines. The Spanish colonization. From 1565 to 1898, Spanish rule in the Philippines lasted for an astonishing 333 years, beginning with the establishment of the first permanent settlement in Cebu in 1565 and enduring until the end of the 19th century. Throughout this period, the Philippines was a distant outpost of the Spanish Empire, governed from Manila and deeply influenced by the political, religious, and cultural currents of Spain. However, Spanish rule was not without its challenges. The 333 years of colonization were marked by numerous uprisings and revolts as the local population resisted foreign domination. Some of the most significant revolts included the Dagohoy Rebellion, 1744 to 1829, in Bohol, the longest uprising in Philippine history, and the Silang Revolt, 1762 to 1763, in Ilocos. Despite these and other uprisings, Spanish rule remained largely unchallenged until the latter half of the 19th century. The beginning of the end for Spanish rule came in 1896 with the outbreak of the Philippine Revolution, a movement for independence inspired by the ideas of freedom, equality, and national identity. The revolution was led by figures such as Andres Bonifacio, the leader of the Katipunan, and Emilio Aguinaldo, who would later become the first president of the Philippines. The revolution gained momentum, and Spanish control began to crumble as Filipino forces won key victories. The final blow to Spanish rule came with the Spanish-American War in 1898. The war, which had its roots in conflicts between Spain and the United States over Cuba, quickly spread to the Philippines. The United States, seeing an opportunity to expand its influence in the Pacific, supported the Filipino revolutionaries in their fight against Spain. The war culminated in the Battle of Manila Bay, where the U.S. Navy decisively defeated the Spanish fleet. On June 12, 1898, Emilio Aguinaldo declared Philippine independence from Spain, a momentous occasion that marked the end of over 3 centuries of Spanish colonization. However, the independence declared that day was not recognized by Spain nor by the United States, which had its own plans for the archipelago. The Treaty of Paris, signed later that year, ceded the Philippines to the United States, ushering in a new chapter of foreign rule. The legacy of Spanish colonization in the Philippines is profound and multifaceted. The most enduring impact is the widespread practice of Christianity, particularly Roman Catholicism, which continues to be a central aspect of Filipino identity. Spanish influence is also evident in the country's language, with many Spanish loanwords in Filipino languages, as well as in architecture, cuisine, customs, and traditions. The struggle for independence, which culminated in the Philippine Revolution and the eventual overthrow of Spanish rule, is a testament to the resilience and determination of the Filipino people. While the end of Spanish colonization did not bring immediate independence, leading instead to a period of American colonization, it set the stage for the eventual establishment of the Philippines as a sovereign nation. Today, the Philippines stands as a testament to its complex history, a nation shaped by centuries of foreign rule, but defined by its own unique culture and identity. The story of Spanish colonization is a crucial chapter in this history, one that continues to influence the country and its people in myriad ways. Like and subscribe for more in-depth historical stories.